Rowler had heard many stories in his childhood, but none frightened him the way the story of the human line did. Every alien child grew up hearing the same warning: never cross the line. It is the boundary humans drew after the First Great War. The universe still fears that war, and so should you. Even now, as an adult and captain of his own ship, Rowler could still remember the trembling voices of elders saying these words nearby. But standing against the dark window of his command deck, staring at the silent border floating in space, Rowler felt something he had never felt before: curiosity stronger than fear. The line was invisible to the eye, yet every species knew where it existed. It was a wide stretch of space where no ship dared to travel, no beacon shone, and no signal was allowed to pass. The great alliances, the traders, the explorers, even the pirates, everyone stayed away, not because humans patrolled it, but because the memory of what humans once did was terrifying enough to keep the galaxy obedient for centuries. Humans did not start the First Great War, but they ended it, and the universe had never forgotten their power. Rowler's crew whispered nervously behind him, trying their best not to disturb the silence that surrounded the border. They were small, insect-like beings, loyal to him, but full of fear at this moment. Their antennae trembled, their claws clicked quietly, and their soft wings folded tightly as if trying to hide. "Captain, we should not be here," his first officer said, voice low, almost shaking. "This is forbidden space. If humans find us, they will not ask questions." Rowler kept watching the border. "We received a signal," he replied calmly. "A distress signal. Someone is calling for help. But from this place," another crew member whispered. "No one lives near the line. Nothing lives here." Rowler wanted to agree, but he had seen the signal himself. It was faint, weak, but clearly a call for help. Someone had sent it from the very edge of human space. Maybe a lost ship, maybe survivors, maybe something even the humans themselves forgot. Rowler was not the kind of captain who ignored suffering, even if the call came from a dangerous place. That was what made him different from others of his species. The windows of the ship reflected the endless stars stretched like a cold river through space. The border itself was not visible, yet Rowler felt it, like a quiet pressure against the mind. The stories said the line was not just a rule but a warning from humanity to the universe. The war they fought long ago had nearly destroyed reality itself, and after it ended, humans retreated into their own territory and drew the line. They asked everyone else to stay away, not out of pride, but out of fear of something older and darker. Rowler took a slow breath. He was not sure if he believed any of it. Legends always grew larger with time. His ship drifted closer. The artificial lights inside flickered as if reacting to something unseen. The crew began to shift nervously, clicking their claws in anxiety. A heavy silence settled on them, the type of silence that did not feel natural. "Captain, the signal is getting stronger," a young navigator reported. "It is coming from just beyond the line." Rowler closed his eyes for a moment. His heart beat slower, calmer, like he had already decided. "We move forward." The crew gasped, tiny wings fluttering in panic. One stepped forward, his voice trembling. "Captain, we cannot cross it." "No one crosses it. The humans are not here," Rowler finished. "And if someone needs help, I will answer the call." The ship's engines hummed, glowing brighter. Slowly, silently, the vessel drifted toward the forbidden zone. As the hull crossed the invisible border, a cold wave washed through the cabin, making every crew member shiver. It felt like stepping into a place that did not welcome life. And then it happened. A whisper brushed through the comms, soft but clear, like a ghost talking through old metal. "Turn back." Every crew member froze. The voice was calm, almost gentle, yet filled with something sharp and dangerous. Rowler stared at the blank comm screen. No image, no signal source. Just the voice, repeating again, "Turn back. Last warning." The young navigator dropped his tools. "Captain." That voice, it was human. Rowler did not answer immediately. For a moment, he simply stood there listening to the cold, empty air, feeling his heartbeats echo through the silence. If this was a human message, then maybe the legends were true. Maybe humans still watched this border even after so many years. Or maybe something else used their voice. "Try to locate the source," he ordered firmly. The navigator shook his head. "Captain, it is impossible. The message, it came from behind us." Rowler turned around slowly. He expected to see empty space, stars, silence. But what he saw made the blood in his body freeze. A massive shadow appeared behind their ship, large, silent, shaped like something ancient and deadly. It did not move. It did not speak. But its presence felt like the weight of a forgotten war pressing down on them. The crew fell completely silent. Rowler stared at the shadow and whispered only one thought: "They were watching us the whole time." The shadow behind Rowler's ship did not move, yet its presence filled the command deck like a storm waiting to break. Every crew member stared at it with wide, terrified eyes. It was huge, larger than any warship they had ever seen. The shape was sharp, cold, and perfectly still, as if carved out of the darkness itself. The soft blue lights glowing along its hull made it look alive, watching them even without visible eyes. Rowler felt a heavy chill run down his spine. He had crossed the line, and now something from the old war had awakened. For a long moment, no one spoke. The air inside the ship felt thick, almost hard to breathe. The young navigator whispered in a shaking voice, "Captain, is that a human ship?" Rowler swallowed slowly. He had seen pictures of human warships in old archives, but none looked like this. This one felt ancient, older than any design known to the galaxy. It was silent, still, covered in dark armor that looked like it had survived centuries. The engines at the back glowed with low blue fire, powerful enough to destroy a planet if unleashed. Rowler did not know if it was human or something else entirely. Before he could speak, the comms system crackled again. The same calm voice filled the cabin. But this time it sounded clearer, closer. "You have crossed the human line," it said. "State your purpose." The crew stepped back, some lowering their heads, others trembling. It was impossible to tell if the voice came from a living human or from a machine. It was emotionless, steady, like someone who had seen too many wars to fear anything. Rowler stood tall, even though his heart pounded hard. "We received a distress signal," he said. "We had came to help." The voice paused for a long second. The silence felt heavier than the words. "No distress signal was sent from human space," the voice replied. Rowler turned toward his navigator. "Check again. Show them the frequency." The navigator's claws shook as he tried. His screen flickered, glitched, then finally stabilized. He stared at it, confused. "Captain, the signal. It disappeared." Rowler frowned. "What do you mean?" "There is no signal now," the navigator whispered. "It is gone, as if it never existed." Another crew member stepped forward, fear showing in every movement. "Captain, it was a trap. Someone wanted us to cross the line." Another crackle filled the comms and the voice returned. "The distress signal did not come from human space. It originated from inside your vessel." Every crew member froze from inside their ship. Rowler felt his stomach tighten. He looked at his crew, each one loyal, trusted for years. Who would send a false signal? Why risk bringing them into forbidden space? He tried to stay calm. "That is not possible," he said firmly. "No one on this ship would." The voice cut him off. "You are wrong, Cap. There is someone on your vessel who hides their true intention. They sent the signal to draw you here. I advise searching your crew." Rowler's mind raced. Could it be sabotage? Someone with a secret mission? The idea made his skin crawl. He turned sharply to his first officer. "Seal all exits. No one leaves the deck." The crew obeyed instantly. The doors locked with a heavy sound, and the lights dimmed slightly. Rowler stepped forward, eyes scanning the group who sent the signal. He demanded, "Step forward now." No one moved. No one spoke. Every face showed fear and confusion. Or maybe someone was acting. The mysterious ship outside continued to watch them, silent and cold. The voice echoed again. "You are wasting time. The one who sent the signal will not confess." Rowler's patience broke. "Then how do you know someone is aboard?" There was a short, harsh silence. Then the voice spoke again. "We have monitored your ship since it crossed the border. One life form aboard your vessel is using a false biological signature." Rowler froze. A false biological signature meant someone was not who they claimed to be. Someone had modified their identity, hiding their true species or purpose. That was a crime in most galaxies, and a sign of danger. "Which one?" Rowler asked in a deep, controlled voice. "You must discover that yourself," the voice replied. "If I reveal the traitor, they may attempt to sabotage your ship." Rowler understood. Panic could make things worse. He needed to act carefully. He walked slowly among his crew, watching their faces. Some looked terrified, others confused. One technician at the back kept avoiding eye contact, breathing fast. Rowler stopped in front of him. "You," he said. "Step forward." The technician froze. His wings twitched nervously. His eyes darted around the room. "Captain, step forward," Rowler repeated. The technician's legs shook as he moved. When he reached the center of the deck, the voice on the comms spoke again. "That is the one." The technician suddenly panicked. He grabbed a small device from his belt and tried to run toward the exit. Rowler shouted, "Stop him!" But it was too late. A bright beam of blue light shot from the giant shadow ship outside. It passed through the window like it was nothing. The beam hit the fleeing technician before anyone could react. There was no sound, no explosion. The technician simply vanished in a single flash. The crew stared in horror. Rowler felt cold sweat on his back. The voice spoke one more time. "The traitor has been removed." Rowler swallowed hard. What did he want? The voice answered calm as ever. He wanted to steal something humans left behind. Something that should never be found. The shadow outside moved for the first time, rising slightly. "Prepare yourselves, Captain. You must follow me. You are already part of this now." Fear filled the crew, but Rowler could feel something even heavier. The line had been crossed, and nothing would ever be the same again. Rowler stood frozen as the last flicker of blue light faded from the deck. The spot where the traitor had stood was now empty, completely clean, as if the technician had never existed. His crew stared at the empty space with wide, terrified eyes, their bodies stiff and trembling. None of them had ever seen a weapon so silent, so fast, so absolute. There was no burning smell, no dust, no damage, just absence. The voice from the giant shadow ship echoed again, calm and cold. Your ship is now safe. The false life form has been removed. Prepare to follow. Rowler swallowed, trying to force his heartbeat to slow down. Why must we follow you? We came here only because of the distress signal. You came because someone wanted you here, the voice said. And now that you have crossed the line, the danger you awakened cannot be ignored. Danger. The words settled into Roller's chest like heavy stone. He turned to look at his crew. They were terrified, but they trusted him. They always had. He couldn't show fear. Not now. He straightened his posture and spoke with steady authority. Helm, take us on a slow course behind the human ship. The helmsman hesitated. Captain, if we follow them, we may never return. Rowler looked at the massive shadow outside, glowing faintly with cold blue light. If we don't follow, we may not survive at all. No one argued after that. The engines hummed softly as the ship began to move. Outside, the giant vessel turned with a slow, deliberate motion, its dark metal shining faintly against the stars. It moved with the confidence of something that had never known fear, something born from war and shaped by centuries. As they followed the warship deeper into the forbidden zone, the stars around them seemed to shift. The space itself felt different, heavier, darker, filled with a quiet tension. The line behind them disappeared into the distance. Rowler felt as if they had stepped into a different universe. Minutes passed in silence, until the crew finally found the courage to speak. Captain, what was that thing? One of them whispered. It didn't look like a human, more like a machine. Rowler nodded slightly. I think it is a machine, but one controlled by humans, or maybe created by them during the First Great War. But why is it still alive? Another crew member asked. The war ended centuries ago. Rowler had no answer. The truth was, nothing about this made sense. If the war was over so long ago, why did the line still exist? Why did the universe stay away? Why leave machines behind instead of soldiers or ships? Unless something was still here, something humans wanted to contain. Captain, the navigator said, staring at the screen. We are approaching a strange area. A space. Looks broken. Rowler leaned closer. The view ahead showed something he had never seen in his life. The stars flickered unnaturally, bending slightly, like reflections in water. Clouds of dark dust floated in strange twisted shapes. Space did not behave like space. It felt alive, breathing slowly in cold patterns. What is happening? A crew member whispered. Before Rowler could respond, the deep, emotionless voice returned. You are entering the field where the First Great War ended, the place where reality was scarred. Scarred. Rowler felt a chill run down his back. Reality. Scarred by what? The giant ship slowed down, and its engines glowed brighter. The voice spoke again, but this time, there was something new in the tone, something heavy, almost tired. You will see soon. Humans fought something here, something old, something that should never return. The crew exchanged fearful glances. They had heard stories of the First War, stories of a creature older than stars, a being that wanted to erase free will from the galaxy. But they had always believed those were myths, exaggerated stories told to frighten children. Surely no creature could be powerful enough to break reality. But as they flew deeper into the strange zone, they began to understand. The twisted shapes of space weren't illusions. They were scars, rips in the fabric of existence that refused to heal even after centuries. The stars blinked in slow, unnatural patterns, like eyes trying to open. Whisper-like vibrations shook the ship. Rowler felt them in his bones. Soft, distant, but alive. The voice spoke again. Do not fear. The creature is sealed. But the seal weakens. The traitor intended to break it completely. Rowler's eyes widened. Break it? Why? What would he gain? Chaos, the voice replied. Power and perhaps a place beside the creature, once it returned. Rowler felt sick. The idea of any being wanting to help something like that was terrifying. Where are you taking us? He asked quietly. To the heart of the scar, the voice answered. To the place humans named a silent planet. The ship shook as they passed into a darker region. Lights flickered, screens dimmed. Every system felt like it was running through thick, invisible pressure. The crew held onto their chairs tightly. Suddenly, the stars parted, revealing a huge dark shape below them, a planet with no lights, no movement, no life. A world that looked like a giant wound floating in space. There, the voice said. The creature sleeps beneath this planet, and you must see what humans left behind before it wakes. Rowler felt his heart drop. He finally understood why the line existed, why the universe stayed away, why humans retreated into their space. It wasn't to protect themselves, it was to protect everyone else. And now he was flying straight toward the reason. The dark planet slowly filled the view outside. Rowler's ship. It looked like a giant sphere of ash floating in the middle of broken space. No lights, no cities, no signs of life, just silence. Thick, heavy silence that seemed older than the stars around it. Even the clouds on the planet were unmoving, frozen like stone. His crew stared at it without blinking, their bodies tight with fear. None of them had ever seen a world like this. It felt wrong. Not dangerous in a loud way, but dangerous in a quiet, ancient way, like a deep whisper coming from the ground. The human war machine led them lower, its blue lights shining faintly in the darkness. Roller's ship followed carefully, engines trembling from the strange pressure around the planet. It felt like the air itself was pushing them back, trying to warn them. But they had no choice. The machine had destroyed the traitor in an instant. If it wanted them dead, they would be dead already. Rowler hoped he was right. As they descended into the atmosphere, everything became darker. The stars above faded. The sky turned gray and thick. Strange ripples moved across the clouds, not like wind, but like something beneath the planet breathing slowly. The crew whispered nervously, their antennae shaking. "Captain, this place, it feels alive," one crew member said softly. Rowler nodded. He felt the same. A low vibration moved through the ship, gentle but constant, like a giant heartbeat far below. The machine ahead of them slowed as a massive crater came into view. It wasn't a normal crater, it was huge, stretching across the horizon, and the edges looked melted, almost glowing with a faint blue light. The light pulsed softly, matching the heartbeat-like vibration. The voice from the machine spoke again. "This is where the creature fell during the First Great War." Rowler leaned forward. "It fell? You mean humans defeated it here?" "No," the voice replied. "This is where humans forced it to sleep. It cannot be killed by normal means." The crew looked horrified. If something this dangerous couldn't be killed, then what were they even doing here? The machine hovered over the edge of the crater. The interior of the crater was even stranger. The ground inside was cracked into massive pieces, glowing with energy lines that ran deep into the planet. Thick fog rose from the cracks, and in the very center stood a huge metal structure, a tower-like device with ancient symbols glowing softly. It hummed with power. Rowler stared in shock. "What is that?" "The seal," the voice answered. "Humans built it to contain the creature. It has held for centuries." Rowler felt a cold weight forming in his chest. If the traitor wanted to break the seal, Benny had almost unleashed this creature onto the universe. The ship landed carefully near the crater's edge. The ground shook under their feet as they stepped outside. The air was heavy, thick, and cold. Every breath felt like inhaling ancient dust. Rowler and his crew followed the human machine, which hovered silently like a giant guardian. The closer they came to the seal, the stronger the vibrations became. Each pulse felt like a warning. Rowler looked down into the cracks. He saw glowing patterns moving inside the earth. They looked like veins, or chains, holding something down. As they walked, the voice spoke again. Humans knew this creature was not just powerful. It was aware, clever. It could reach into minds, twist thoughts, break wills. Many species fled from it. Only humans stayed and fought. Rowler felt a strange respect rising inside him. Why didn't you tell the galaxy the truth? Why make the line instead? The machine paused for a moment, almost like it was thinking. Because the truth would bring panic. Fear spreads faster than light. Humans chose silence over chaos. Rowler understood. If the universe knew such a creature still existed, hidden only by a seal, everything would break. They reached the base of the seal. It towered above them, humming with ancient power. Strange runes glowed across the surface, changing shapes slowly, as if alive. Rowler touched the metal gently. It was warm. "Too warm, Captain," his first officer whispered, pointing nervously. "The symbols, they are fading." Rowler looked closely. He saw it clearly. The glow was weaker, flickering like an old light losing power. "The seal is failing," he said quietly. "How long has it been like this?" The machine answered immediately. 2 months. That is when the first tremors began. We detected shifts in the creature's prison. We sent repair signals. No one answered. Rowler frowned. "Because humans are gone from here." "Yes," the machine said. "Humans left guardians like us, but they do not live in this region anymore. They believed the seal would last longer." A deep rumble shook the ground. The cracks spread wider. Dust rose into the air. The vibrations grew stronger, and for a second, Rowler felt something push against his mind, a whisper, dark and cold. He gasped and stumbled back. His crew rushed to him. "Captain, are you hurt?" Rowler shook his head, breathing hard. Something is awake down there." The ground shook again, this time harder. The fading lights across the seal flickered violently. The voice from the machine grew louder, sharper. "We must act. The creature is testing the seal. If it breaks free, the line will not stop it. Nothing will." Rowler stared at the machine, fear and determination mixing inside him. He had crossed the line. He had seen the truth, and now he understood the danger. "What do you need from us?" he asked quietly. The machine turned toward him, its lights glowing bright blue. "Help me repair the seal, and prepare yourselves." Rowler swallowed hard. Prepare for what? The ground trembled again, a long, deep, powerful shake that made the entire crater vibrate. The cracks glowed brighter. The heartbeat below grew louder. The machine answered with a tone colder than space. "For the creature has begun to wake." The ground shook with a force that made Rowler's legs weaken. Dust rose from the cracks, swirling like wounded smoke around the seal. The air grew heavier with each vibration, as if the planet itself was warning them to turn back. Rowler tried to stay steady, but the pulse beneath the earth was growing stronger, louder, more alive. Every beat felt like a call, a whisper from something deep below. something ancient and hungry. His crew clustered together, trembling, their wings pressed tight to their backs. Even the bravest among them looked terrified. The crater echoed with strange sounds, soft echoes, strange hums, and distant groans, as if mountains were moving far under the surface. The machine ahead hovered calmly, its blue lights brightening as it analyzed the seal. "We do not have much time," the voice said, its tone still cold but with a hint of urgency. "The creature is pushing against the seal. Every second makes it weaker." Rowler stepped forward carefully. "What do we need to do? How can we help you repair it?" The machine turned slightly, glowing panels opening along its sides. Strange mechanical arms emerged, each holding a different tool that hummed softly with energy. "You must stabilize the power nodes. There are 4 around the seal. I will guide you, but you must act quickly." Rowler nodded. "We will do it." Crew, spread out and follow instructions. They moved fast, though their bodies still trembled. The ground shook again as if warning them they were too slow. Rowler reached the nearest power node, a tall pillar with ancient symbols glowing weakly. The surface flickered like dying fire. "What is wrong with it?" he asked. "It is losing connection with the seal," the machine responded. "Place your hand on the panel. I will instruct you." Rowler did as told, pressing his hand onto the glowing surface. Immediately, a jolt ran through his arm, not painful, but electric and intense. The pillar reacted, the symbols brightening slightly. He took a deep breath and held steady. Another pulse shook the crater, stronger than before. The ground quivered beneath their feet. The fog inside the cracks swirled violently. One crew member cried out, falling to the ground. Rowler called out, "Stay focused. Keep going." The machine's voice became sharper. "Hurry, the creature is testing the barriers. It can sense new life above. It is reaching upward." Those words chilled every bone in Rowler's body. Something under this planet could sense them. We could feel them. He pressed harder against the pillar, forcing the symbols to glow brighter. But as the power grew, a low whisper brushed against his mind. It was soft, like a faint idea, but it was there. He gasped and pulled his hand away. One of his crew rushed over. "Captain, what happened?" Rowler took a deep breath. "I heard something. In my head." The machine spoke again, this time with clear warning. "Do not listen to it. The creature cannot speak words, but it can send thoughts. If you let it inside, it will break your mind." Rowler clenched his fists and placed his hand back on the pillar. "We do this fast. No one listens to anything." The crew moved to the other nodes. They touched the devices, trying to force power into them. But each time they touched the ancient structures, faint whispers brushed against their thoughts. Some soft, some cold, some sad. Rowler heard them too, but he pushed them away. He knew these whispers were not real thoughts. They were bait. Another tremor hit the crater. This time, cracks exploded open, sending small pieces of rock flying. A deep, echoing groan came from far beneath the surface. The fog rising from the cracks turned brighter, almost glowing. One crew member screamed, "Captain, the lights under the seal, they're pulsing faster." Rowler looked up. The symbols on the seal were flickering like a dying flame. Something below was pushing, pressing, trying to break free. The machine suddenly spoke louder. "Node 1 stabilized. Move to Node 2. Rowler ran across the uneven ground, jumping over cracks as the planet shook again. His crew struggled beside him, but they didn't stop. They reached the second node. This one was worse. Half the symbols were completely dark. Rowler placed his hand on it. Nothing happened. "Machine," he called urgently. "This one is dead." "It is not dead," the voice replied. "You must give it energy manually." "How?" Rowler asked. "Use your life force." His eyes widened. "My what?" "Your energy, your strength. The seal responds to living will. Humans designed it that way so machines could not access it alone." Rowler felt a cold wave pass through him. If he gave too much energy, it could kill him. Or worse, it could weaken him so much that the creature's whispers could take over. He took a deep breath and pressed both hands onto the pillar at once. A surge of energy pulled from his body, rushing into the symbols. It felt like cold fire running through his veins. He gritted his teeth, trying to stay steady. His crew watched in horror. "Captain, stop, it's draining you." Rowler shook his head. "Keep working on your nodes. Don't stop." The pillar glowed brighter, symbols flaring to life. But the more it brightened, the colder Rowler felt. His vision blurred. His breath grew thin. He could feel the whispers creeping in again, stronger this time, like fingers trying to open his thoughts. He heard a faint voice in his mind, low, distant, echoing like a nightmare. "Free me," he gasped and pulled his hands away. He fell to his knees, breathing hard. But the node lit up completely. The machine confirmed it. Node destabilized. Rowler forced himself to stand, sweat dripping down his face, vision still shaking. "Move to the next ones." His crew ran, their small bodies jumping over cracks as the planet shook harder. Rowler followed, though each step felt heavy. A deep, thunder-like sound echoed from below. The entire crater trembled violently. Fog exploded upward. Glowing veins of light spread across the ground. The machine's voice grew urgent for the first time. "Hurry. This seal is failing. The creature is pushing harder. If even one node remains weak, It will break free. Rowler stumbled forward, pushing past exhaustion and fear. He reached the third node, but before he touched it, the ground in front of him split open. A massive crack tore through the crater, glowing bright blue like liquid fire. From deep below, something moved. Something enormous. Something waking. Rowler felt terror grip his heart. They were running out of time. The seal's central lock has a manual override, a human-designed command. It can force the creature back into full sleep, but it requires a direct emotional imprint. The crew blinked in confusion. Emotional imprint. What does that mean? It needs something stronger than power, the machine explained. It needs intention, willpower, a living mind, pushing the command into the seal. Rowler understood immediately, and it terrified him. You mean, someone has to connect with the seal directly, let it read their thoughts? Yes, the machine said. But if the creature senses the connection, it will attack the mind of whoever connects. If they break, the creature will escape. The crew stepped back in horror. Connecting with the seal meant inviting the creature into their mind even for a moment, and the whispers they had felt earlier were already enough to shake them. A full connection could destroy someone from inside. Rowler looked at the glowing cracks, listened to the distant roar below, felt the shaking ground. He knew the truth. This was the only option left. I will do it, he said quietly. His crew shouted in panic. No, you'll die. It will break your mind. Rowler shook his head slowly. I'm already half finished. If any of you try, it will destroy you instantly. He looked at the seal, bright, cracking, shaking, and took a slow breath. This is what I am meant to do. He stepped forward, leaning on pure willpower. Every muscle in his body felt like fire. His vision blurred, but he walked toward the center of the seal. The blue glow pulsed like a heartbeat, as if recognizing him. The machine hovered beside him. Place your hand on the central lock. When it activates, you must focus only on one thought, one clear command. Rowler nodded weakly. Which command? Contain. The ground shook harder. The creature roared again, louder, angrier. The cracks spread wider. Rowler placed his hand on the seal. A shock of cold energy shot through him, pulling him into a darkness deeper than space. He felt the creature instantly, a huge presence, filled with rage and hunger. Its voice blasted into his mind. I am older than stars. You cannot stop me. Rowler screamed but held on. He pushed his mind forward, repeating the command over and over. Contain, contain. The seal glowed brighter. The ground trembled violently. The creature shrieked in fury. The Rowler pushed harder, giving everything left inside him, but his strength was fading fast and the creature knew it. The crack in the ground widened with a loud tearing sound, like the planet itself was breaking apart. Bright blue light shot upward, flashing across the crater like lightning trapped underground. Rowler stumbled back, shielding his eyes as the heat burst out of the opening. His crew shouted in fear, wings flaring as they tried to keep their balance. Something shifted deep below, a huge movement that made the entire crater vibrate like a living heartbeat. A low, rumbling growl echoed from under the surface, not like an animal, not like a machine, but something in between, something ancient and enormous. The glow from the cracks pulsed like veins bursting with powerful energy. Rowler forced himself to stand firm, his body still weak from the last node, his vision pulsing, but he could not let fear stop him. He looked at the half-lit node in front of him. They only had 2 left. If they failed now, everything would end, not just here, not just on this planet, but maybe everywhere. The machine's voice came sharply through the chaos. Ignore the disturbance. Go to the 3rd node. It is still repairable. Rowler knew the machine was trying to stay calm, but he could hear something in its voice now, not fear, but urgency. A kind of pressure, as if even it understood that they were seconds from disaster. He ran toward the node. The ground shook again, almost knocking him off his feet. His crew followed, terrified but determined. They knew the stakes. They knew escape was impossible now. They had to finish the task. Rowler pressed his hands onto the 3rd node. He expected another painful surge, but instead, the pillar resisted him. The symbols flickered weakly, like they were trying to breathe but couldn't. Machine, he shouted, it's not responding. Focus, the voice said. Channel your energy. Do not hesitate. Rowler closed his eyes. His hands trembled as he pushed all his concentration into the pillar. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the symbols began to glow. But the ground beneath him vibrated harder, as if the thing below sensed his efforts and was trying to break through faster. A deep, booming thud shook the crater. Dust exploded upward. Several crew members screamed as small rocks fell from the sides of the crater wall. One of them cried out, Captain, this seal it's cracking. Rowler opened his eyes. He looked toward the center of the seal. Thin fractures were appearing in the ancient structure, glowing bright blue. They spread slowly like long, jagged fingers. The creature below was pushing with all its strength now. He forced his hands harder against the pillar. The symbols flared brighter, responding to his will. A sharp, burning sensation raced up his arms. He winced, but he did not let go. His breath became ragged. He felt the cold fire again, pulling at him, draining him, but he pushed through it. The ground shook violently again. A shockwave hit the entire crater, throwing one of his crew to the ground. Another crew member shouted, "It's coming closer. I can feel it." Rowler did not want to believe it, but he felt it too. Something massive, something powerful, rising from the dark depths. He heard the whispers again, louder this time, filling his mind with cold thoughts. "Let me rise. Let me free." Rowler gritted his teeth and shouted out loud, "Get out of my head." The symbols on the pillar suddenly glowed with full brightness. A burst of energy shot upward from the node. The machine responded instantly. Node 3 stabilized. Rowler gasped and collapsed to one knee, his strength straining fast. He felt dizzy, the world spinning around him, but he forced himself to stand again. They had one node left, one final barrier holding the monster below. He turned to his crew. "Go last node." They ran together, crossing the unstable ground. Blue light flared from the cracks like fire trying to escape. The air became hotter, thicker, filled with energy that stung their skin as they reached the last node. The machine spoke again. This time, its voice was firm but heavy. "This one will require a strong, steady source of life force, more than the others." Rowler stared at the pillar. "How much more?" "Enough to fully reactivate the seal," the machine answered. "Enough to push the creature back into its prison." Rowler knew immediately what that meant. It could kill him. If he gave too much, his body would collapse. But if he didn't, the thing below would rise. And the machine had already said it plainly. Nothing in the galaxy could fight it. Only the humans who sealed it originally had the power to do so, and humans were gone. He looked at his crew. They were small, frightened, exhausted. They couldn't give enough energy. They would die instantly. Rowler stepped forward. "I will do it." The crew shouted at him, "Captain, no, you can't. It will kill you." Rowler smiled weakly. "If I don't, we all die. And not just us, everyone." He placed both hands onto the final pillar. Immediately, a massive surge tore through him. His entire body shuddered violently. The symbols glowed bright, then brighter, then blinding. Energy pulled from him like a storm draining the sky. The whispers attacked him again, louder than ever, screaming into his mind, "Stop, stop." But Rowler didn't stop. He screamed through clenched teeth, forcing every part of himself into the pillar. His vision blurred. His legs buckled. The world dimmed around him, but he held on. The seals across the ground flared to life. The fractures in the central seal began to close. The planet shook violently one last time, and then everything went still. The pillar flashed with brilliant light. The machine spoke in a calm, clear tone. "Node 4 stabilized. The seal is fully restored." Rowler felt his consciousness slipping. His arms dropped. He collapsed to the ground. His crew rushed to him, screaming his name. The machine hovered silently, as if watching him fade. Rowler's eyes opened weakly. He whispered, barely audible, "Is it over?" Before the machine could answer, a low rumble rose again from below. The ground vibrated softly. The creature was not done. Silence filled the crater for a few long seconds, heavy, deep, and almost painful. Rowler lay on the ground, breathing weakly, his vision fading in and out. His crew surrounded him, trembling, whispering his name, trying to shake him awake. For a moment, they all believed it was over. The seal was bright again. The nodes were glowing. The light across the ground was steady and strong. But then the soft rumble rose from underneath the planet again. It wasn't as loud as before, but it was deep, steady, and full of warning. The kind of sound that made bones vibrate and hearts freeze. The ground trembled lightly, just enough to make dust dance around the crater. The fog rising from the cracks flickered with a faint blue glow. Rowler opened his eyes a little, his voice thin like a whisper. "No, it's still awake. It's still moving." His crew looked around with wide eyes. The cracks in the crater pulsed again. A soft humming filled the air. Not mechanical, not natural. Something alive. Something huge. Something trapped, but not fully defeated. The machine hovered over the seal, its blue sensors flashing rapidly. The creature was pushed back, but it is not sealed completely. "It is resisting the lock," one of the crew shouted in panic. "But the nodes are all fixed." "You said the seal was restored." The machine turned slowly. "I said the seal was fully powered. I did not say the creature would stop fighting." A thin crack of fear ran through the group. They had all hoped that restoring the seal would end everything. But now they realized this wasn't a simple repair. This wasn't a clean victory. The creature below had been imprisoned for countless ages. It would not allow itself to be locked again without a final struggle. Rowler tried to stand, pushing weakly against the ground, but his body felt heavy, drained. He could barely lift his head. His crew helped him sit up, but he was shaking badly, barely able to keep his eyes open. The machine slowly moved closer to him. "Your sacrifice stabilized the seal, but your life force is almost depleted. You must not move." Rowler smiled tidily. "I will move if I must. The job isn't finished." Another rumble rose beneath them, stronger this time. The cracks around the seal glowed a deeper blue, spreading outward like slow lightning. A strange, low tone echoed through the crater almost like a voice, but too distorted and too ancient to understand. His crew covered their ears. "Captain, it's speaking again." Rowler felt it too, not a voice, but a presence pushing into their minds. A cold pressure, like freezing water, filling a room. It wasn't words. But it was something close. A message. A demand. Let me rise. Rala gritted his teeth. No, we aren't letting you go. The machine's lights flashed sharply. The creature is attempting to breach the seal again. It is looking for a weakness where, Rala asked, trying to stand again. The machine projected a blue beam across the seal. Here a small point on the central lock. It is not broken, but the creature has discovered the exact place where the humans weakened while sealing it. It is pushing there. If it succeeds, the seal will fail. The crew exchanged terrified looks. They had no more energy. Rala had given nearly all of his life force. The ground trembled more violently. A deep, echoing roar shook the air, a furious sound from deep below. One of the crew cried out, "What do we do now? We can't fix anything else." Roller leaned on one of them, breathing hard. "Machine, is there anything left to do?" The machine paused for a long moment, longer than usual. Its voice, when it finally answered, was slower, heavier. "There is one option, but it is dangerous." "Tell me," Roller insisted.